The first thing you notice about Saturn is its perfection. A golden sphere wrapped in luminous rings, floating silently in the darkness, like a piece of art, too precise to be natural. It doesn't look like a planet. It looks designed. Every curve, every line, every shadow feels intentional, as if Saturn was placed there to be admired. From Earth, it has always been different. Other planets appear as distant points of light, but Saturn reveals itself, even through small telescopes, its rings separated from everything else, giving it an almost unreal presence. For centuries, it became a symbol of balance, beauty, and quiet stability. A world that seemed untouched by chaos. But distance creates comfort, and comfort creates illusion, because what we are seeing is not peace, it is not calm. It is only the surface of something far more unsettling. Saturn does not glow because it is gentle. It glows because it reflects light in a way that hides its true nature. Those soft golden tones are not signs of harmony. They are the result of gases swirling endlessly, masking motion with beauty. Even the rings, the very feature that makes Saturn iconic, play a role in this illusion. From afar, they appear smooth and perfect, like solid bands frozen in time. They look delicate, almost fragile, as if they could be touched without consequence. But that perfection is misleading. It simplifies something that is anything but simple. The truth is, Saturn is not still. It is not quiet. It is constantly moving, constantly shifting, constantly changing in ways we cannot easily see. The calm image we hold is built on distance, on limited perspective, on the assumption that beauty equals safety. And that assumption is where everything begins to break. Because Saturn is not peaceful. It is not a world of gentle motion and quiet elegance. It is a system driven by forces that are invisible from afar. Forces that twist, collide, and reshape everything within its reach. What looks like balance is actually tension held together by gravity and speed. The closer you get, the more that illusion begins to fall apart. Details sharpen. Movement becomes visible. Patterns that once looked smooth start to fracture into something chaotic. And slowly, the realization sets in that Saturn is not what it appears to be. It was never a symbol of peace. It was a disguise. From a distance, Saturn's rings look flawless, thin, bright, and perfectly aligned. They appear like solid bands of light, wrapped gently around the planet. They seem smooth, almost delicate, like something you could glide across without resistance. It is this image that has defined Saturn for centuries, a symbol of elegance suspended in silence. But that image collapses the moment you get closer. The rings are not solid. They are not even calm. They are a vast, chaotic field of debris, stretching hundreds of thousands of kilometers across space. Countless fragments of ice and rock orbit Saturn at extreme speeds, each one moving independently, yet trapped in a constant, violent dance. Some particles are as small as grains of dust. Others are as large as mountains. And they are not drifting peacefully, they are colliding. At thousands of kilometers per H-hour, these fragments crash into one another, shattering, reforming, and scattering endlessly. What looks like a smooth surface from afar is in reality a storm of razor-sharp ice moving faster than anything we experience on Earth. It is not a ring, it is a grinder, stretching across space. Even their structure is deceptive. Despite their enormous width, the rings are astonishingly thin. In many places, they are only a few tens of meters thick. A structure so wide, yet so fragile, should not exist in perfect harmony. And it doesn't. The balance is constantly shifting, maintained only by gravity and motion, never by stability. This raises a darker question. Where did all this material come from? The answer is not peaceful. One of the leading theories suggests that Saturn's rings are the remains of a destroyed moon. Long ago, a celestial body may have drifted too close to the planet, crossing a boundary where Saturn's gravity becomes overwhelming. Beyond that point, the tidal forces would have torn it apart, ripping it into fragments and scattering its remains into orbit. What we see today may not be a natural ornament. It may be the aftermath of destruction. A graveyard stretched across space, made from the remains of something that once existed as a complete world. And that changes everything, because those beautiful rings are no longer just a feature. They are evidence. Evidence of a system where gravity does not just hold things together, it tears them apart. A place where beauty is not created gently, but through violence on a scale we struggle to comprehend. So when you look at Saturn and admire its rings, what you are really seeing is motion, collision, and destruction, frozen into a shape that only appears perfect from a distance. Up close, there is nothing peaceful about them at all. If Saturn's rings are the illusion, its atmosphere is the reveal. Because beneath those soft golden bands lies a world that refuses to behave the way it should. On most planets, storms follow patterns. They form, they move, they fade. But on Saturn, storms break those rules completely. They grow, they distort, and sometimes they simply refuse to disappear. The most unsettling example lies at the North Pole. From a distance, it looks like a simple shape. But as the details come into focus, the reality becomes difficult to accept. A perfect hexagon stretching across tens of thousands of kilometers, locked in place and spinning with the planet. Nature does not create straight edges like this. Fluids do not organize into geometric precision. And yet, there it is. A six-sided storm, each edge sharply defined, surrounding a massive central vortex. Winds race along its boundaries at incredible speeds, maintaining its shape as if it were carved into the atmosphere itself. It has persisted for decades, possibly much longer, resisting every expectation of how a storm should behave. It is not just unusual, it feels unnatural. And the hexagon is only the beginning. Across Saturn's atmosphere, storms emerge without warning. Some grow large enough to wrap around the entire planet, bright white eruptions that disrupt the calm appearance of its clouds. These are not small disturbances, they are global events, releasing enormous amounts of energy and reshaping the atmosphere in ways that can last for years. Lightning flashes deep within these systems, far more powerful than anything seen on Earth. It illuminates layers of clouds stacked upon one another, revealing a depth that is both beautiful and terrifying. Thunder rolls through a sky that never truly settles, echoing through a world where motion never stops. What makes these storms even more disturbing is their unpredictability. They do not follow simple cycles. They can remain dormant for years, then suddenly awaken, spreading rapidly across the planet. There is no warning, no gradual buildup that can be easily understood. Only silence, followed by eruption. This is not weather as we know it. It is a system driven by internal heat, by forces rising from deep within the planet itself. Saturn generates its own energy, feeding its atmosphere from below, ensuring that the chaos above never truly fades. So what appears calm from afar is actually a thin mask stretched over constant turbulence. A surface that hides motion too vast to fully grasp. And once you see it clearly, the illusion is gone. Saturn is not a quiet world. It is a place where even the storms refuse to follow the rules. Saturn is not alone. It rules over a vast system of moons, each one orbiting in silent obedience. From a distance, they look like harmless companions, small and distant, frozen in the quiet of space. But the closer you look, the more unsettling they become. These are not simple rocks. They are worlds shaped by the same forces that make Saturn so dangerous. The largest of them, Titan, feels strangely familiar at first. It is wrapped in a thick atmosphere, something no other moon in the solar system possesses. If you stood on its surface, you would see clouds drifting across the sky, rivers cutting through the land, and lakes stretching toward the horizon. It looks like a version of Earth, calm and alive. But that resemblance is a deception. They are made of liquid methane and ethane, hydrocarbons that behave like water in Titan's freezing environment. Rain falls from the sky, but it is fuel, not life. The temperature is so low that everything moves slowly, thick and heavy, like a world locked in a permanent state of cold suffocation. Even the ground is unfamiliar. Vast dunes stretch across Titan's surface, not made of sand, but of complex organic particles, like dark grains of plastic shaped by alien winds. It is a place that mimics life, but is built from something entirely different. Then there is Enceladus, smaller, brighter, and far more deceptive. At first glance, it appears to be nothing more than a frozen sphere of ice, quiet and inactive. But beneath that surface lies something unexpected. Cracks at its south pole, known as tiger stripes, reveal jets of water vapor blasting into space at incredible speeds. These geysers are not random. They are driven by heat trapped deep inside the moon, generated by Saturn's relentless gravitational pull. The constant stretching and squeezing creates friction, warming the interior and sustaining a hidden ocean beneath the ice. In the darkness below, there is liquid water, heat, and organic molecules. The ingredients for life. It is a disturbing thought. In one part of Saturn's system, you find environments that are brutally hostile, worlds where survival is impossible. In another, you find conditions that might allow something to exist, hidden beneath layers of ice and pressure. And all of it is controlled by Saturn. Its gravity shapes these moons, drives their activity, and determines their fate. They are not independent worlds. They are extensions of a system built on tension and force, where every orbit, every movement is influenced by something far more powerful. So the nightmare of Saturn is not limited to the planet itself. It spreads outward, shaping entire worlds into places that are either deadly, deceptive, or filled with unsettling possibilities. A system where nothing is truly safe, and nothing is quite what it seems. Saturn looks timeless, a perfect balance of light and shadow, its rings glowing with quiet elegance, as if they have always existed and always will. It feels permanent, unchanging, like a masterpiece frozen in place for eternity. But that feeling is another illusion, because Saturn, for all its beauty, is slowly falling apart. The rings, the very feature that defines the planet, are not stable. They are fading. With every passing moment, tiny particles of ice and rock are being pulled inward by Saturn's gravity. This process, known as ring rain, is almost invisible from a distance. But it is constant. Billions of tons of material are drifting downward, slipping through the planet's magnetic field and disappearing into its atmosphere. What looks solid and eternal is actually temporary. Over time, this loss adds up. Scientists estimate that in about 100 million years, the rings could vanish completely. A blink of an eye on a cosmic scale. One day, Saturn may look no different from the other gas giants, stripped of the very thing that made it iconic. The halo that once defined it will be gone, leaving behind only a memory written in light. And this is what makes Saturn unsettling, because we are seeing it at a perfect moment. A brief window in time where everything appears balanced, where destruction and beauty exist in harmony just long enough for us to witness it. Before and after this moment, Saturn is something else entirely, either a world before the rings formed, or a world after they have disappeared. This realization changes how we see it. The rings are not just beautiful. They are fragile, a temporary arrangement of chaos that only looks stable from a distance. Every collision, every shift, every fragment moving through space is part of a slow collapse that cannot be stopped. Saturn is not preserving its beauty. It is losing it. And yet, that loss is part of something larger. Nothing in the universe is truly permanent. Stars burn out. Planets change. Systems evolve and decay over time. Saturn is not unique in this, but what makes it different is how clearly we can see that process happening. Its beauty is not separate from its destruction. It is created by it. That is the final truth, hidden behind the illusion. Saturn is not a peaceful world. It is not a perfect one. It is a system caught between creation and collapse, where the very forces that made it extraordinary are slowly undoing it. A place where elegance is built on motion, and motion leads inevitably to loss. So when you look at Saturn, you are not just seeing a planet. You are seeing a moment, a temporary masterpiece, suspended in time, already beginning to fade.